Hey everybody, happy Friday and happy Earth Day. Today is Friday, April 22nd. This is Brian McCarthy at Compass in Hoboken. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I have basically three headlines that I want to talk to you about instead of sharing my screen and going over a bunch of stats. Just want to talk to you real quick, probably shorter than I usually do, about three things. Number one being a huge tip for my clients that are and friends that are landlords and or renters. Going to talk a little bit about mortgage rates, where they've headed so far this year, its impact on your buying power. And then the third and final thing I want to talk about is just how, even though more and more buyers are being priced out of the market, demand in our area especially is almost at an all-time high and continues to rise. And there's one or two huge factors to that that I'm going to get into in a minute. So first of all, just want to talk to everyone out there that is my friend or client that owns property. My advice to you would be, when you're looking for renters, rent on the short term. Probably shorter the better at this point. Rent prices have been going up since the fall of last year, and they just continue to rise. And it looks like they're going to just keep going up at least for the rest of the year and the foreseeable future. And one of the biggest pieces of evidence that I have to back that up are some headlines that I've been reading about Blackstone, which, if you know, is a huge real estate investment trust. They own a lot of real estate throughout the country, and they are basically hedging their bets. And they have 80% of their real estate holdings in sectors right now that have short-term leases because they see that rent prices are going up. So the more often that you can renew a lease at the new market high, the better you're going to do. So in the past, it hasn't been uncommon for landlords to find a really good renter and then want to sign a lease with them for more than a year, 2 years, 3 years, because you're locking in someone who's reliable and can pay. Well, that is good, but may not be the best thing that you can do right now. Obviously, you want to find a good renter that has good income and can pay. But if you can sign a year lease or maybe even shorter with them and have that opportunity to renew or find a new renter at the new higher market rent, that is going to benefit you. And so on the flip side, any of my friends and clients out there that are renters, look for long-term. If landlords don't know about this or are okay with, I would just offer, if you find a place that you like and you're thinking about staying for a while, once you move into a place, a year really isn't that long, and who wants to move after a year anyway? See if you can sign a lease for 2 or even 3 years or however long you're comfortable with, because locking in that rate now is probably most likely going to benefit you in the future. And another headline that I saw actually about Blackstone as well is that they agreed to buy a big student housing owner named American Campus Communities, Inc., in a deal valuing just over $12 billion, actually $12.8 billion, because they see, and as we've seen, as the pandemic is winding down or people are just returning more back to normal, more and more college students are coming back to their campuses and need housing. And I saw another headline in The Real Deal that basically called this, especially right now, a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, because there just is not enough student housing in many, many campuses across the country. So if you have an investment property or looking for an investment property, it's not necessarily a bad idea to buy one around a campus. Here in Hoboken, it hasn't been traditionally for many years now a very good opportunity to buy a property that's cash flow positive. But if you have the money and the foresight to look into this into the future, it could be a really good buy and hold to have something even very small near Stevens. And I'm talking to everybody out there too has been looking around Journal Square. There's the college in Jersey City. Sorry, I'm not a basketball fan, but they made it to the Elite Eight. Well, it's right out there in Journal Square, and Journal Square property prices have been going up for years now. And having that campus there, and if you can buy a property around there, it's just like cream on top of the pie, on top of the cake, if you can get that around there. And there are things available. I have a few also, so let me know. It's a great opportunity to buy something like that. So that is my advice before I keep going on that. So the stats to kind of back that up, besides those headlines about Blackstone, in March, rent prices grew for apartments that are 2 bedrooms or less, 17% year over year, with the median asking rent, this is nationwide, at just over $1,800 per month. That is the 8th month in a row that rent prices have seen double-digit year-over-year growth. And a big part of that can be attributed to the surge of, like I said, students coming back and not having places to live on campus. And also Generation Zers or Gen Z coming of age, entering the workplaces, especially around cities, and just entering that workforce and needing a place to live, coming from home, maybe someplace more rural. And so that's nationwide, 17%. New York itself, in this area has been a little bit more modest, but not by much. It's still 14.6% year over year growth on rent prices. All right, so let's switch a little bit here. I generally talk about mortgage rates really quick every week. If you guys are following this, they are above 5% now. So your average 30-year fixed mortgage rate is 5.5%. That is up basically 2 points from where we started at the very beginning of the year, January 1st, 2022. And just to give you an example of how much buying power people have lost just in these past 4.5 months, if you have a $400,000 loan with your average rate, 30-year fixed rate, your monthly payments on that loan alone have gone up $366. So anyone that's been a buyer, that's been looking, maybe you've been making offers and you just haven't found that property yet for whatever reason, if you can stick it out, I encourage you to do so, because a lot of buyers are being priced out. And a lot of these very competitive markets, we're not seeing like 10, 20 offers on places anymore. It's like a handful or one good one. So if you do find properties that you like, make an offer on it right away and make it a good offer. And, you know, if you don't, your leverage in the beginning is all about how fast you can get it in before another offer comes to the table. If another offer comes in, obviously you have to move to a different strategy, but lowballing, especially in our area, really isn't a very wise strategy. But anyway, if you are a buyer right now, you basically have two options, like, especially if you're renting, you can rent again. And it's basically a scenario of like, what's the lesser evil? Like, you're going to rent again and just renew your lease at a much higher rate, like everything is going up, or are you going to stick into the buyer's market or stick into the purchase market here and just, accept that we're having a little bit higher mortgage rate than we normally have. It's basically the highest we've had in a decade. I'm not going to lie, about being above 5%. Historically, though, that's still pretty reasonable. But as you've seen, if you were to buy a house this time last year, your monthly payments have gone up by 3 digits. Anyway, so if you still are in the market, stick it out. And you might also, the other big piece of advice is, expand your search a little bit. If you're really stuck on a certain area, just play around with whatever map thing you're using. Zillow, everybody, any good agent has one of these as well. And just open up your search options to some of the surrounding areas, because quite often you can find a house or a property that's either bigger for the same amount of money, or bigger for the same amount of money, or something that's, what you're looking for less money. So what are you going to do? What's the lesser evil for you right now? You're going to really have to think about, you're going to stay in the rental market and pay more, or are you going to buy something and pay a little bit more? And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, is demand, right? So that's another thing is I've been hearing kind of around, and you see headlines and stuff like, oh man, with mortgage rates going up and the Fed trying to really tamp down on inflation, property prices just can't maintain this like steady upward climb. And really, yes, that's true. It's probably not going to escalate as quickly as it has been. But it's just another sign here and another reason why it's property prices really aren't going to take a dive. They're not going to depreciate in the next foreseeable future. And one of the biggest reasons I can see towards that holding true, and I go over stats about this every week. I hope you guys have been looking and following, because pretty much every week I say the same thing, but based on different data. And the data that I have today is basically a report that I saw on Crain's New York, which is another real estate publication. which is basically saying that pied-à-terres, there's a huge resurgence in Manhattan of pied-à-terres, which, if you don't know, is basically not someone's full-time home. But New York's pandemic recovery is reflected very strongly in the resurgence of the pied-à-terre market. So not only are New Yorkers that used to live here coming back to work, but people who have never lived here before but need to be here maybe part-time for work are betting on the future of the market in and around New York to continue appreciating by buying these part-time, their homes that they're going to live in part-time, also known as a pied-à-terre. So contract signings for those residences are up 70% from pre-pandemic levels. Just to give you an idea how much that has gone up in just the past 2.5, 3 years. So anyone that's saying things are going to cool off, things are going to be a lot more affordable, this time next year, I got to say, I don't necessarily agree with you. It might be a good idea, even if you're getting close to being priced out or you're getting fed up with the market, hang in there, make some really good offers, lock in your mortgage rate now before they go up even more, and then just ride out this appreciation, because it is going to continue to go up, maybe not as steeply as it has been, but it's going to continue to rise. And it's purely because of supply and demand. We just do not have enough supply for all the demand of the people that want to live in and around New York for work and for pleasure. I mean, it still is, the epicenter of culture and commerce in America, and it's not going anywhere. It is back, and it is continuing to rise. And as soon as people get priced out of Manhattan, what's the first place they look? That's right. It's New Jersey. It's northern New Jersey, where you can get a very easy commute to go right back into the city and just have a little more affordable price point for what you're looking for. So that's all I got for you today. Hope everybody's doing really well. As always, I look forward to your questions, comments, and feedback. You can reach me anytime on my email, brian.mccarthy@compass.com. You can call or text me at 617-851-9141. And you can DM me or follow me on Instagram at Bry Says, or Facebook is Facebook Realtor Brian McCarthy. All right, everybody, take care. Have an awesome weekend. I will see you here next week.